The male loneliness crisis isn't about men being lonely, because a lot of these men are actually married. So I'm going to tie a bunch of things together. So bear with me, because this is not a problem for women to fix. This is a problem men have to fix, but women have to stop enabling these men. That's literally all we can do, and heal our trauma so that we stop enabling them. Now, let me just start with this. As some of y'all know, I wrote this viral article about men not having friends and women bearing the burden. And this specifically was about men who were partnered up with women, right? They were boyfriends, husbands, whatever. So I know a lot about this subject. So this loneliness crisis of men has nothing to do with them being single. It's about them not being able to connect, being dead inside, and not dealing with their trauma or patriarchy. And this is becoming a public health crisis. And I want to show you all the ways. I don't know if y'all saw this. This happened, yet another, mass pew pew. They happen all the time, so probably didn't even make the news. But this one says so much about how messed up all this is and why this is a threat to all of us. So this couple had been married for a really long time. Then she wanted a divorce. He moved to Ohio for a while and then came back to unalive her and a bunch of strangers. He literally showed up at this bar where they were having like a birthday party and there was a band. Didn't say a word and pew pew her and her friend. And then that wasn't enough for him, right? Why not just keep going? So he went outside and randomly started pew pewing strangers. Went outside, like reloaded, and then came back in. Plot twist, this dude used to be a cop. Oh, I know, shocking, right? Since a huge percentage of cops admit to being abusers themselves, I can't believe that this would happen. Hey, Cam. So he's fired 100 rounds and he was targeting his wife. She survived, but her BFF did not. So imagine the guilt she's going to live with the rest of her life. Like that in and of itself, he has given her a death sentence of guilt because of course she's going to blame herself. That's what we do. So this former cop with the corn stack, this is the interesting part. Like all of this is so tragic. But pay close attention to this. And this one is from the Daily Beast. This is what I write for the Daily Beast regularly because this context is really important, y'all. One of the people who was there had already survived the Las Vegas shooting. So just to remind that, like, I swear, what are the chances of you being in 2 mass shootings in the United States? Not, pretty good. So why did this man do this? Well, apparently he was not taking the divorce well. Shocker. Entitled man drunk on power is mad that his wife might go live her life. That checks out. One of the neighbors said he was always, a standoffish kind of person. That's what they always say for like loser loners. Said that Marie was divorcing him because he never wanted to leave the house. How relatable is that? Anyone married to a man who's not running from his trauma by throwing himself into like a bunch of sports to get adrenaline highs or not like leaving the house because he hates you all the time. What about the men who never leave the house, who don't have friends? The lonely male crisis. They have wives and they're still lonely as hell. And then when these wives dare to leave these losers who will not get help with their trauma and definitely won't unpack any of patriarchy and all this crap. Look at this right here. I think it reached a point where it felt like life was passing her by because he did not want to do anything. He barely maintained the house. That checks out. All that domestic labor she's doing. I think she wanted to have friends and live life, and that's why I think she made the move she did. It's sad that he could not allow that and let her live her own life. And shocker, he was known to be controlling. Now, Gavin Newsom, the governor, is like, hey, maybe we should do some red flag law. And why is that important? Because women who date men and marry men are the canary in the coal mine that y'all won't listen to. We tell you at every turn, these men are dangerous. They're trying to hurt me and you're next. And we get dismissed time and time and time again. Now, in my own domestic violence situation, I went to the cops. They put me in more danger. That's a whole long story. I have many reasons to hate the police, even as a white woman who has been more protected than any other woman. Even I hate them because they are not here to protect women unless it's for racist causes. But I gave them everything. Evidence. So much evidence to get my ex arrested, and they did nothing. A zero. But that's another story. The point is that because the police are full of abusers, the police force, they're here to protect their own, baby. Whether it's, back the blue or protect the abusive man. Bros before hoes, baby. Because look at this. Do y'all remember the Nashville bombing? Nashville's my hometown, so this story matters a lot to me on a personal level. What is it, like on Christmas Eve or whatever? This dude drove up in a historic part of Nashville, very populated area. That's where everybody is, 2nd Avenue, with this RV that he'd been building a bomb in for a long time. And he wanted to unalive himself, but he couldn't just do that in the peace of his own home because men can't stand not being the center of attention. So if I'm going to go down, I'm taking all you with me. And even if he doesn't want to take people with, he wants everyone to suffer and watch him do it. Like, this story is so crazy. But back to this story, the craziest part is how they treated his girlfriend, who literally told them this man is building a bomb. In August, a year before, because I think this happened in December 2020, the girlfriend of this dude went to the police and said, he's building a bomb in the backyard in his RV. What did they do? They took her by ambulance for psychological evaluation and then ignored the bomb information and then claimed it was not on our radar. Like hell it wasn't. The police actually went over and checked out the house only because her attorney was worried about her. And when they showed up, she was sitting on the porch with 2 unloaded weapons and said that they belonged to him. She didn't want them in the house any longer because she was scared for her life, because women are 6 times more likely to be unalived if there is a pew-pew in the home. She also told officers about the bomb he was building in the RV that he literally used later. I think it injured 7 people and traumatized a whole city, my city. The attorney told the officer, this dude talks about explosives, military, like crazy stuff a lot, because he was all into conspiracy theories crap. And he literally sent the police over there to check on her. And they're like, we don't see a problem here. Ignored it, like they always do when women come to police to tell them, hey, heads up, this crazy man's gonna do something crazy. And they're like, oh, sure, maybe we should take you to get checked out. Stop being so dramatic. And the police said there was no evidence to go check out his property. They literally showed up to a place with a bomb, and they're like, oops, we don't really see a reason, even though there's a scared woman on the porch who's telling us there's a bomb back there. We don't see a reason to go check. We'll just leave this man alone because he's a white man. And this is Tennessee. They love white men there. They accused this woman of having a mental health crisis. Yeah, who wouldn't if you're afraid you're going to die? And got her psychological evaluation and never did anything to the dude. Now, the funny thing is when the FBI investigated this later on, they didn't call it terrorism because they're like, well, there's no ideological or political motive behind it. It's just a guy who wanted to like unalive himself, but like in front of people. Like, you know, that's just how men are. Boys will be boys. Like, seriously, this is what the FBI concluded. Not terrorism. You know, he just wanted to unalive himself. Now listen to this. It wasn't terrorism. It was just, you know, a totality of life stressor, including paranoia, long-held, individualized beliefs adapted from several eccentric conspiracy theories, and loss of stabilizing anchors, like his girlfriend, and deteriorating interpersonal relationships. Cool, bro. That stupid girlfriend just had to leave him because she was scared of dying. And look what he did. Look what he did. Do you see how they always frame this as like women's fault? These lone wolf men, you know, they just need women to stabilize them. No, they unalive us. And I'm sorry, but it sounds like this guy was a terrorist, because all those things they just described is a part of whiteness and white supremacy culture and patriarchy and anti-blackness and all of those things that are leading to this lonely male crisis, and why all these crazy white men, especially, it's not just white men, but it's a lot of white men, are a public health threat to all of us. And then the very women who try to warn people like this dude's, stop being so crazy. Just go date them. Just go fork them. Men are lonely. Well, let's talk about that. Maybe it's not that they're lonely. It's that they need some serious help. And women are tired of waiting for these men to heal and them ruining our lives. So we leave to save ourselves. And y'all still blame me. Look at this. This headline is perfect. Mass unalivers practice at home. Did you hear that? Practice at home. These two are linked. We know that. Statistics say that. This article is amazing. Google. More than half of mass shootings are not in the public. They're of these men's families. They take out their wives, all their kids, and then they turn it on themselves. Because they can't just unalive themselves. They have to leave a legacy. They're so lonely, they don't want to die alone. So they take you with them. And even when they don't take out their family member before they unalive a bunch of strangers, they usually have at least beat them. They practice on us. 68% of mass unalivers have a history of domestic violence. I'd say it's even bigger than that. And this is the haunting. Almost all of them have a history of controlling and abusing their wives and kids before graduating to mass unalivings. Men's loneliness has nothing to do with us, but it's going to get all of us killed.